Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and friends. And indeed, I did bring some friends today, and we have a special guest joining us. He is an incredible content creator. He wears his opinions on his sleeve. Ham Solo, my brother from another. What's going on, dude? Welcome back.
How's it going, man? Good to see you. Good to be back. It's been a while.
It has been, indeed.
Yeah, I've actually stepped away from creating content for a little bit. I mean, I've been back for like about a month now, but
Yeah.
but I did step away for just a hair because I had because I moved and I moved to another state.
Oh, what? Yeah, it's tough, dude. Tough.
Got a pretty good new job and stuff like that. So I had to get like readjusted to everything, scheduling, like when you're podcasting, and especially as much time as I previously had, I just had like time to do anything. And then once I got back into the swing of working and whatnot, my back, if you guys had any history with me, some of my podcasts, I talked about some of the back issues I had, but those all like all that stuff got figured out and fixed, and I'm feeling pretty good working. But now I'm starting to get back into the swing of content creating. So thank you so much for the invite. I was surprised when you reached out. I was like, oh snap, yeah, I'll definitely hop on, man.
Well, actually, what triggered it was a post that you had put out, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a very interesting take." Let me reach out to him because I haven't seen him around in a minute. And well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, Ham Solo making his debut on Primetime Gaming because he's been on the other programs, just never this one. So, of course, he's here, and we have a lot to get into. With Hargeet Chani, we are going to have a lot to talk about. And again, this is one of those live streams where when we're talking about PlayStation, we're going to be talking about Xbox. And when we're talking about Xbox, of course, we're going to be talking about PlayStation. And well, here we are. How you doing, man? Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, we'll get into the fun news. There's always something going on.
There really is. I mean, I got to say, as a podcaster, we're always looking or lurking for the next big news bomb. And I have to say, in the last 12 months, it has been very rare a week where we would get like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. I have to create my own thing, or let's start up a conversation of bring back KI or something. No, there's been stories, including KI, which I dropped a video today about something that Ed Boon had to say about Killer Instinct. That man keeps teasing, and I don't like it. But we'll get back. Go check out the video. It's live now, folks. Let me know what you think. But hey, Kay Asante, what's up, dude? How you feeling?
Good evening. Good evening. Hope y'all can hear me. Testing
Yes.
1, 2. I'm doing good, man. It's good to be here. As I live and breathe, if it's the one Ham Solo, it's been a minute, sir. Good to see you. It's been too long, sir.
Hope you're doing
good
well. To see you.
Happy to be here.
I can see the beard's got a little bit grayer.
Oh, the gray
I'm
beard.
never going to catch up to you, bro.
You better hope you don't catch up to me.
By the time I start to get them streaks, you're going to look like Gandalf.
Maybe.
For some reason, it takes my family forever to grow gray hair. Like my mom's in her mid to late 60s. And she barely has any gray hair.
You see what he's doing now? He is kind of backhand flexing right now. I appreciate it.
I mean, I wish my back had that fountain of youth, but it don't.
Oh well, you can't have it all.
Just the hair.
Oh man. Well, listen, we're happy to have everybody here. We have a crazy good chat already going back and forth with each other. We're going to be talking about exclusivity for Xbox, folks. We're going to be talking about what's PlayStation and how they are moving when it comes to their first-party single-player games. They pulled a fugazi on the PC community regarding Ghost of Yotai that was originally going to launch on PC, and well, that has been scrapped. So we're going to start with PlayStation, and then we're going to get into what Asha had to say regarding bringing back Xbox and if that actually means bringing back Xbox exclusives and how they can do it. Well, I have a theory, folks. It's a pretty damn good one. But listen, let's get into the breaking news that comes the way of Bloomberg. Now, this is Jason Schrier. who writes for Bloomberg. He posted it today, ladies and gentlemen. It says, based on reports from Bloomberg's Jason Schrier as early as March 2026, and of course that's today, Sony is significantly shifting its PC strategy, moving away from releasing its first-party single-player blockbusters on PC to strictly focus on console exclusivity. Now, here are the breakdowns of the information that we have. Okay, so here's a couple bullet points, folks. Scrapped their single-player PC ports. Ghost of Yotai and Soros, the new Housemarque title, will now not be coming to PC, with previous plans for these releases being scrapped. Wolverine has been confirmed by Sony as exclusive to, of course, the PlayStation 5, and it has been confirmed that it is not going to show up on PC. Now, multiplayer games continue. Live service and multiplayer games such as Marathon and Marvel's Tokon Fighting Souls will be released on PC day and date. Now, here's where it gets interesting. External developers, third-party deals. Games published by Sony but developed externally, such as Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Kenna, Scars of Kasmara, are still planned for PC, suggesting that these developers may have had more autonomy in making that decision. So what it seems like is it's good. Again, this is not, I don't know if it's going to be every developer that makes a deal with Sony, but it does appear that they're going to leave some wiggle room for a particular second and third party developed game, to whether or not for the actual developer to decide whether it's going to go to PC or stay strictly on PlayStation. Again, this is all breaking news. I'm sure things are going to change, but it does appear that Sony has shifted back to really focusing on exclusives for the PlayStation 5. Now, here is 2 additional points of contention, and here's what it says. Reasons for the reversal. Key factors reportedly include lower than expected sales for some PC ports that arrived 6 to 12 months after the PlayStation 5 launch, and internal concerns within Sony that PC releases are damaging or have damaged the PlayStation brand and hurt console sales. Now, it goes on to say, lastly, impact of competition. Another factor mentioned, and this is where I'm going to be taking my point, is the upcoming next generation Xbox, which is rumored to have a heavy PC focus. Sony reportedly wants to avoid its flagship games running on its rival hardware. Now, that is a rumor that is not directly from Sony, but what's interesting, Hargeet Chani, is this is something I've heard Dirt Griggity talk about. This is something that I've personally talked about. And again, you've heard me say this, and I'll reiterate it live on the air. If the next Xbox was this open sourced box, and PlayStation games, first-party single-player games, like, for instance, Spider-Man 3, or, whatever they decide to come out with, Uncharted 4, I would not buy a PlayStation 6 to play these games because I would need to. Well, that has changed. And maybe there were enough of me, people or gamers like me, saying that publicly, that Sony got a little shook. Because if you don't need a PlayStation 6, well, they're going to lose, hardware sales. Now, I've bought every PlayStation. As a matter of fact, the first 2 I imported from Japan. I didn't even wait for them to come to America. So I've been a PlayStation gamer since inception, even before it came to this country. I have no problem buying their hardware, but if the next Xbox is an open source box, why would I? Well, now I have to. And that's what it appears, that something like Intergalactic, for instance, is not going to be going to PC. So if we want to play it, well, I'll play it on my PlayStation 5, that's for sure. And I would not doubt that many of their games coming to PlayStation 6 are going to somewhat be backwards compatible, or they're going to make a PS5, or Pro version, because they're talking about this console being around for 10 years. So they're gonna do what they've always done. It's gonna be a multi-generational game release, and on PlayStation 6, something like Intergalactic will have some additional graphical, bells and whistles. Hargeet, let's get your thoughts on this, because you were awaiting Ghost of Yotai to come to PC to buy it, and now you missed the experience because you won't buy it on PlayStation.
Yeah, because I'm not going to have a PlayStation, and I'm not going to buy a PlayStation. So if they don't want to bring it, they don't want to bring it. That's fine. Whatever. This is Magnus. It's obviously Magnus. That's what they're.
Yes, it is.
They're just petty. And they don't I don't understand. If you were a business and you could they basically are losing something like $300 million a year by not doing this. And if you could sit there and say, "Oh, I'll make $300 million, or I'll be petty and not put this on PC just because my competitor's box might be able to play it." Well, okay. So one side, Xbox has said, "We're just giving you the game. We don't care. Go ahead, have the game." The other side's like, "No, we won't allow that." Okay, fair enough. That's money you're throwing away. Fine. That's a choice. It's about 10% of their profits every year. Fine. You want to throw that away? That's fine. You're beholden to your shareholders. You figure out how that makes sense. I don't get it, but hey, whatever. Now here's the thing. Sony started out with good momentum and goodwill when they started their PC ports, but then slowly but surely kept stepping on rakes, because they did. They then wanted that login, and people were like, "What you want? What you're doing? What now?" And it just kept going from there, right? So they just kept pushing each stupid thing, and at this point, the goodwill, especially once that happened, the goodwill just fell off. So they were selling lots on the first few games that they brought over. And then the PC community remembered. Sony did what now? Screw you. That's not happening. So, if they pull this and then eventually figure out, oh, crap, we're losing money, we want to make money there. Don't expect the PC community won't remember this. These are pretty stupid moves when you're trying to be petty, but you are pissing off a customer base. And it's the largest customer base outside of mobile. So good luck with that. Good luck with that. And we'll see how that plays out going forward. I'm sure this is going to work out just dandy for you. Enjoy your laurels. It does not surprise me that they're petty like this. We knew something had to happen, right? Because there was nothing they could do to Steam to say your game won't run on the next Xbox that's going to run the Steam store, right? It's going to have the Steam store. They were going to try to do something. Everybody thought it was going to be, they will just block Steam from doing it. Good luck. Steam doesn't care. You either have the game here or you don't. And the game's here. It's playing wherever we are. Good luck with that. So yeah, that obviously didn't work. So the answer is they're just not going to put it on PC. The other option is that they're going to maybe make their own store. That's also an option, I suppose. But yeah, it looks like they're just being petty, and they're like, nope, we don't want Magnus to play these games. Therefore, we're going to pull it back. Okay, whatever. Good for you. From my personal perspective, I'm sorry, they have one game a year.
That's what they said. They literally said that, Hargeet. They said that their mega blockbusters are their $300 million IPs that they're spending to make on these games. They will have reduced them from 3 to 1.
Yeah, so the other games they make, they do have other games. Like this year, they have a bunch of games coming out, all of them multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
So those will be on PC. It's just the single player games. So we have 2 this time, Saros and Wolverine, so far. At least that's what we know about. So those are the ones that will not come to PC. Okay, whatever. Unfortunately for them, this is not the world in which I need to absolutely play those games, because there's so much available to me. I'm on Game Pass. That alone feeds me. But then all these third-party games are out there. Xbox themselves publishes a whole bunch of games. I have the Switch too. I've barely touched it. And not because I don't want to. It's because I don't have time.
Yep.
I have the games. I haven't had time to turn it on. I'm so inundated with games. So your one game, okay, but that's just gone then. I don't care. Fine. I just will not engage with you. If you don't want to be on PC, good for you. Have a nice day, Sony.
And of course now I've been proven wrong, and it's fine. It's okay to be wrong, folks. My original thought and theory, and we're going to bring Ham Solo in a hot second, was exactly what you said. I was under the impression that rather than give Steam 30%, they would make their own PC store, sell the game directly to an Xbox player on Magnus, and get 100%. But you mentioned the word petty, and this is exactly what they do. Now, yesterday we had somebody in the chat that said, "Oh, Xbox is going to go back to holding games hostage." Now, of course, we won't say who that is because we don't want to embarrass anybody. But I, of course, was like, whoa, hold on a sec. It's not Xbox that's holding games hostage. It's PlayStation and something like Marvel Tokon, right? That game is going to be incredible. Everything I've seen about it, I'm going to wind up double dipping because I'm going to play it on not on a traditional PC. Like I'm going to play it on my handheld, right? I'm going to play it on my Xbox Ally X. But I'm also going to buy it on PlayStation because I like their first party stuff, and this is what it is. It's not made by them, but it's a second party deal that they publish, so it's still considered first party. I'm going to be all in on that. Now I'm not buying Soros because I didn't buy the first one, so I'm not going to buy Soros. And I got news for you. I'm going to be very interested to see how that game does. Now, granted, it's not $100 million game. Housemarque makes smaller games, and it's probably budgeted for just their own audience, and that's probably going to be fine for Sony and fine for Housemarque. But what's interesting, and not a lot of people are talking about this, is if they're not porting to PC anymore, what happens to Nixxes that they literally bought to port games to PC? Are they going to be a support studio? Are they going to close that studio? Well, I mean, hopefully they don't close them because they just closed Bluepoint, and there are a couple of others that might be, named to be closed soon enough because their games are just not going to come out. We will see. But this is a bit of a shocking move. I'm actually shocked, and I'm glad you brought up the number. Hargy, you said something about $300 million in loss per year on software they could have sold on PC. I don't know if
this is just a single player.
Okay.
This is just single player, not the multiplayer. We're assuming that continues, right? Just the single player. It's a little over 300 million. So yeah.
Well, again, only time is going to tell. But Han Solo, let's get your thoughts on the breakdown and the information coming the way of Bloomberg and Jason Schrier about them deciding that the port to PC was hurting their PlayStation 5 sales and potentially would hurt their PlayStation 6 sales. If a game was available on PC, I didn't buy a PlayStation 6, but I did play it on my Xbox. They don't like that. And they're being Hargeet said, petty. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I have a few thoughts. I mean, I feel like I'm right on the nail with it, but at the same time, maybe that's me just being pig-headed. I don't know. But I feel like they're just not built like that. They're just not built like that. They're not built to be a third-party studio. And in like kind of a we don't want to take on or purchase any more other teams to continue to help us output this work, because whenever we tell Nixxes to do it, they end up having 7 different games they have to make, and if one of those games doesn't hit, then that was wasted time on porting over there. And like, we're not Xbox, we're not Tencent, like, we're not Embracer, like we don't have a crap ton of just studios just hanging around. And if we're using, what couple of resources that we have, if we're further paying for it's essentially what I'm saying is if we're further out of control, I don't think I like this direction. And I feel like that's what PlayStation's kind of saying. They do the same thing with their TVs. They do the same thing with a lot of stuff. They dip their toe in, and if they don't like it, they tend to back off and get kind of cold feet and say that, we tried, but that wasn't a really good idea. It's just them saying that they're not built the same like other people. And I mean, is that okay? Not really for the consumer. I mean, other people are championing it, but like at the same time, it's just like, all right, well, back in the day, if somebody said you had to get a certain type of CD player to play this CD, you'd be pissed. So like, it's just like, so is it bad for the consumer? Sure. But like, is it good for the company? Yes. And I feel like that's a thing that a lot of people are championing is the company, even though we wouldn't champion our electric bill or, stuff like that. Some people like to champion things that make them things that make things harder just because that's their guy. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is. I don't personally like it. I do have a PS5, and I mean, I do buy from them, but like, it's just like, do I like less choice? No. That's all I'm kind of saying at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, listen, they're going to ultimately lose sales. So before I bring in KSN,
100%.
I got some additional context, and I want to shout out the Plume Gaming, gentleman of a content creator, and he posted something from Matt Piscatella, who of course represents Circana. And Plume Gaming says, as I said, it's not about console sales, and well, Matt Piscatella agrees. Matt goes on to say this, ladies and gentlemen, according to Circana's player engagement tracker, 60% of US active PS5 users played Fortnite in 2025. The top Sony single-player game was Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which ranked 28th at a 9.9 percentile. Matt goes on to say sales of the console were never noticeably or significantly impacted by the PC releases existing, and Ghost of Yotai finished at number 11th in the tracked full games from sales for money for the year in the US. So they can't even say that assumed non-exclusivity hurt it either. Matt says finally, ultimately, the new shift won't really matter. Kay, you and I were talking, and I had presented my case, and I said, does it make sense for them to make their own PC store? And at the time, well, it did, because that means that if they did make their own PC store, they wouldn't have to give anyone 30%. They would literally sell the game to an Xboxer that's playing it on their ROG Ally X or S or the next generation console, and they would get 100% of the profit. But apparently, people like myself who said, well, I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 6 if I can do that, must have spooked them. And like Hargeet said from the opening salvo, it's Magnus, and they're being petty. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Honestly, first off, I'm surprised by this move. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised by this move. I didn't see this one coming, right? If you think about it, I can see certain senses that they're trying to go, but I didn't see this one coming. So let me break it down, at least my thoughts on this, right? So, and it's very strange, especially because what you would think is, well, the smaller games will stay. No, the big games will stay, right? Like that's what they're saying. Based on the reporting, it seems like they're talking about the biggest of games, the $200 million games. Those are the ones that they're going to try and keep exclusive, and the smaller titles may very well go elsewhere. And of course, obviously, so will the multiplat and the multiplayer rather, and the live service games. Man, Teenage Mutant Turtles is like really confusing me in this world. Looking at that, I'm like, damn. Anyway, so the reason why it's confusing to me is because while you guys were having this conversation, I was just like, I was like looking through and thinking about it. Do you know that for the Spider-Man 2, like Spider-Man 2 game that people love, that I double dipped and played all over the place? Do you know that they had to pay? So Sony had to pay like what do you call it? What the heck is their name? Disney, I think like
35%.
$51 million in licensing and fees.
Wow.
Yeah. It needed to break 7 point something million for it to break even, right? They paid Sony $51 million in licensing fees and royalty fees.
Wow.
Right. So in that world where you got like a huge like bill in front of you before you even break even, and then you start making money on your own, why would you limit your potential reach? Right. So that to me makes a little less sense. Right. It just makes me a little less sense. Right.
But Kay, I just said
Yes, sir.
control, bro.
But see, that's the thing, right? We've all had this conversation, and shout out to the great folks that are always in my Discord. I see you, Yuzu. Shout out to great people who we always conversate with in our Discord. Like, we know they tend to be controlling, right? Some people say they are Petty Murphy. We understand all that. But a lot of those people, we assume have always been there, and many of them are not, right? We've seen them shift in tone from the altruistic or the warriors, if you will, to more money men. It happened at Microsoft, and it's happened at Sony, right? Where the priority is, hey, we need to optimize. We need to make sure we have more ROI. We need to make expel more revenue out of it, right? So it hasn't been, oh, we're going to crush our competitors. It's been, no, we need to get more money out of this. That's how the moves have been of late, right? And a lot of people were complaining that, oh, this is how they move. No, it's not, right? Your football team will wear the same jersey, but all the people that play there aren't necessarily the same as when they were in their heyday, right? You know what I'm saying? So things change, even though you don't think so, because they're still wearing the same jersey. We've seen it happen. So that made me go, right? Specifically with really, really expensive games like that, you tend to need more of an audience in order to facilitate that ROI and making it valuable to return, right? It's the same reason why we saw MLB The Show go where it went, because they needed to make the money. They had the licensing costs, and it also gave the creators or the license holder a bit more say in that realm, right? So all that is what makes me go, very interesting, right? I do see where it does make some sense to them in some realm, right? Because as we're saying now, if you put your game, even if you create your own store, right? If you create your own store, if you still consider Microsoft's box a competitor, now that box can potentially get the game that you have, right? So that's where you can see a competitor, like where they'd be more reluctant to do that, right? The thing that always and you guys have heard me say this on this show before. The thing that I always stay close to in my head when it comes to this kind of narratives and this kind of conversation is, what do you consider a W, right? And the W is different depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a gamer, right, many of the PlayStation gamers are super happy about this. Like, oh yeah, this is great. That gives me a reason to buy the console or whatever, right? For me personally, it just means you probably won't get as much of my dollars. Right? Like, I loved Returnal, but I loved Returnal after it was fixed, because I played it on PlayStation first and it was mad broken first couple of months. Lots of bugs, right? So eventually I put it away.
It could put your console down.
Yes. So I put it away, and then I came back to it. It hit my zeitgeist again when it hit PC, and at that time they fixed it. There was a deal to be had or whatever, and I bought it there, and I loved it so much I played through the whole thing in one sitting, like 8 or 9 hours or whatever, right? So I'm a big fan of Housemarque, but if you're telling me that the only way I have to experience it now is on PlayStation, maybe I'll wait, because like as great as they are, they don't have a history of being day one excellent. It took some time to get that game running right, and I will play Soros, because I enjoyed Returnal, right? These are the kind of decisions that we'll have to make, right? In the Spider-Man, in the X-Men example, the Wolverine, I may play that day one, because for me, Insomniac has done no wrong. It doesn't matter where they were. I was a big Insomniac fan on VR. I'm a big Insomniac fan on Xbox, and I'm a big Insomniac fan on PlayStation, and they never do me wrong in that realm. So if you make it, I will play it. Now, even there, though, you may not catch me double dipping, because I'm the dude who double dipped on every Insomniac game, both on PC and on console. Now you may get my money once, not twice, right? When it comes to Ghosts of Tsushima, I double dipped on Tsushima. If the only game is Yotai, I already have it on PlayStation, because I enjoyed Tsushima. but that means you're not getting any additional funds from me because now I have the game and I'm done, right? So all that is to say, we live in a world where it's a corporation. So by our definition, console gamers or customers and the like, that's a W because now it's, there's no choice. It's where I want to be. Some people like that. I personally don't. But my question is, how does that fill the gap of the financial hole that it puts them in? Even if it's a small, tiny hole, they have to kind of justify why that money shouldn't come because maybe, I guess, in their estimation, they're hurting their brand that way. I think that might be more of a hedge because who has a question of what PlayStation is as a brand? They are so solidified at this point. You could put all of your games on mobile and still people will know what a PlayStation is and they will still go to a PlayStation, right?
That's a great point, dude.
This is not Xbox who's this today and that tomorrow and they have to solidify themselves. Sony has many years, many console cycles solidifying themselves as who they are. So they are uniquely capable of venturing out and experimenting more because people know who they are, right? Probably not even as much as Xbox does. Xbox should not be experimenting. They should be experimenting because they've established themselves well, right? So all of that is a little bit cautious, like unusual to me, right? So this whole thing about and specifically this whole thing about which game should go where and all of that, like it depends. And I'll say it again. I don't get any popularity contest for saying this, but it depends on who you are. If you're a customer and you're a person who's always lent on the side of, hey, this is why I buy my box, I buy my game. You have to give me a reason for it. This is so great for you because now you have justified a reason. You hear Boom say, well, now I have to buy a next gen console. That to you is W because now it stays around longer, right?
Yep.
That's what it is, right? And if Xbox is putting their game everywhere, you're like, oh, they're losing. They don't have their hardware. They can't sell their hardware. All valid narratives to spin because, hey, that's what's happening, right? But if you're a person whose value on this thing, if you're looking at it from a we need to make money and survive perspective, I don't understand how you continue down this path because now those games that are very expensive already have even more pressure on them to succeed with only your console base. Because if you don't do that, now that game is not profitable. Now Disney basically took you for a ride and you can't succeed. You know what I'm saying? So the way they are making these moves is surprising to me, right? I feel like what potentially is happening here is we don't have the whole picture because there has to be other ways that they have convinced at least their leadership that they will become whole even without the PC and Steam numbers, right? Because the addressable market on Steam is so much larger than most places. So the idea that this whole, even though it's a small, because we know that their games didn't like sell astronomically well, but it was still dollars you were getting that you're no longer getting. So the question becomes, like, how do you plan on making up for that money, right? Maybe the PC store. The reason why I push that PC store sounds like a bit of a pushback a bit more is because they've also expressed through Schrier, who's reporting usually tends to be right. They've also expressed that they don't like their games being on a PC platform that then their competitors can use. So if that's the case, then having an app store is not good enough, right? You're gonna have to roll your own OS if you want to have your own app store, because as long as you have an app store on the thing that is Windows, Microsoft can use that. Your ally can use that. And if you don't want to do that, that means you must get away from Windows altogether, right? So again, I wonder where this is coming from an ROI perspective. So it'll be interesting to see where all of this leads. But yeah, what I will say lastly is the article did have a lot of qualifiers in it, right? It had a lot of this is the plan until it's not the plan. So I want to see what really happens here. And not to say that I don't put stock in what Schrier writes, because you can say what you want about the man. He's a great reporter. He does his work. So him saying this puts a lot of credence to what's going on in the background. But I would love to see what the PlayStation blog says or what they themselves say to their investors as justification for why they're not doing that anymore, right? Because honestly, even from someone like me who I enjoy playing everywhere, they got more money from me when they had that option, right? And now it's a case by case basis where I may or may not buy the game depending on like my experience with the IP, right? And like, to be real with it, I'm the kind of guy who's always grazing so much that if you miss me in that window, you may not get me again until something else happens in that world. That's how Returnal got me many months later on PC, right? If I miss that initial window, it just joins the backlog. I probably won't buy it, right? So I don't think I'm unique in that. So I really wonder how they're going to justify making that work. But hey, they themselves have also a good amount of money, man. Maybe they've calculated it out, seen where Nixis is doing all their porting costs, seeing all the dollars that are being spent and the money they're returning, and saying the juice isn't worth the squeeze. That would be surprising to me, but that may be what it is here. Because honestly, I don't think there's any kind of console, competition, quote unquote pettiness about it. They're trying to make money.
Of course they are.
That seems to be their move here. And if you see that money on the table, I really don't see how you justify not taking it, because that means Xbox will have it too. Those Xbox users don't pirate your games. They'd be spending their dollary dues on you too. So all that makes me go, there's something that we don't know here. So I'm just waiting to hear more information to see if they really are okay with just, downsizing, or maybe from now on, all their single player games have less of a budget, so it justifies its price. We're not sure, right? Right now, everything we know is head scratching because it doesn't make sense. Well, okay, as the old song says, it doesn't make dollars, so it doesn't make sense. That's it.
I'm telling you, I think they're scared. I really do think they're scared of the PC crowd. They don't have enough control over it. They don't even have the control over the game. Once it goes out, people start modding it and messing with it. Like, they don't have any control, and they have to build from ground zero to build the infrastructure. And they're already seeing, Xbox is having a hard time with this. Like, let's just maybe just stay in our own lane, and
I agree with you.
Protect people from being able to review bomb this game. And sure. They want all of that control in a box. They don't want it just spread out all over the table.
I do agree with you, because the others, like their direct competitor being Microsoft, has found a way to make their box a box rather than the focal point of their ecosystem. It's a box. Yes, they're saying they want to put more emphasis on it, but they do know that, other people can play their games without that box. They've been able to solidify that to the point where they make that money. Sony does not have that beachhead, so they still must make that hardware the focal point. But and that's why I can see that they're more cautious with it. But I will leave y'all with this last part, right? As it says, physical games, 19 to 26% on physical games. That's how much Disney expects from Sony. On digital, 9 to 18%. That's how much Sony expects. That Disney expects from them. On downloadable DLC, 19 to 26. On the wholesale bundles, let's say there's a Wolverine bundle. On those bundles, 35 to 50%.
Whoa.
Right. That's what it is, based on the Insomniac leaks. Unless they renegotiated, this is all based on the Insomniac leaks. So with all that in mind, how do you make your money and still feel like, we've made our money, when they're taking that much from you? There's something we're missing. But that's it.
Yeah. It's a great point. Again, I want to bring in Paris Lee in a second. I have two thoughts before we bring Paris in, because Paris has really been banging the drum on this, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say, because he's talked on both sides of this situation. We're going to get to it in a second, but I have a story in front of me. I brought it up earlier in the week. This is how much money that Sony could potentially be losing when they do this. Now, this is a Sony site that I pulled. As Tweaktown has confirmed that Sony made at least $2.3 billion with a B selling first-party games on both PC and Xbox. That's going to be a significant amount of loss. You said it. The money men and women figured it out. We'll see if it doesn't come back to bite them. I know Hargeet said something to the effect about, PC gamers don't forget, and they will remember this if they try to backtrack this. But there's also something else that Xbox is doing that I started to see some of not the trolls of PlayStation, and it wasn't a big conversation, but it was a conversation on the socials, and it goes back to exactly what Kay Asante said, and that is that you double dipped. Well, Xbox is running a program now, Xbox Play Anywhere. Now, it's different than this is an Xbox, and I think that the program is brilliant. You buy the game once, and I can play it on my handheld, PC, my TV, or my console, one game to rule them all. I started to see a lot of the normies, some of my friends even, that aren't into the console wars, like, hey, man, Xbox, you can buy the game once and you play it anywhere. Well, they would have both PC. Well, I had to buy Spider-Man 2 again. And I'm like, yeah, that's Sony. They want your money. So, I mean, that's also a thought. People keep saying that Sony, I don't want to use the word scared. I want to say concerned because of the open-endedness of the rumored next Xbox and the fact that they have something called, smart delivery and, Play Anywhere, which is a really, really big deal. And I've said this publicly, I actively look to buy those games because I will play on my console, but I will also play on my Xbox ROG Ally X and enjoy the H out of it. But Paris Lily, what's up, brother? You said you wanted to drop some knowledge on us. Let's hear what you got to say.
Oh, I don't know how much knowledge I have, but
stop it.
I will give you the perspective that I have on the subject. I don't know. I don't know how many people on the panel or in the chat would remember back when Jez mentioned this. I think it was in November. And then I was casually on Gamertag Radio saying, oh, yeah, I heard something similar because I did. Last summer. I had a conversation with someone, and I'm using this context to bring up my point, because the conversation we were having was about day and date as far as PlayStation games go. And this person told me they would get rid of it altogether before they would ever do day and date. And I think, and this was still nothing was confirmed. It was all, hey, they're talking blah, blah, blah kind of thing. Right. So that's why I'm not a reporter, nothing. That's why I never ran out and said anything. And I casually said it on a Twitch stream and someone clipped it and it went around a little bit. But then obviously now that Jason Schreier's mentioned it and some other people, and he's come out with his article, I had said the other day on Gamertag Radio, like, I think it would be a mistake. I still think it's a mistake, in my opinion, for nothing more simple than access points. Make your games more available to people, right? But this brings it to why I think PlayStation is doing this. They clearly don't want to do day and date, because if they did day and date, they would sell on PC, and they know it would. Of course they would. It's about you're delivering games at full price, 18 to 24 months after they're out. People that are on PC were never buying a PlayStation anyways, right? They've moved on to the next shiny thing. That's just my opinion on it, right? It makes sense. So because they don't want to do day and date, because they still value the hardware and they want you to buy a PlayStation, with Valve essentially giving you a living room PC, Xbox allegedly doing the same thing, if they were to go day and date, they would run into a scenario where even people that would be willing to go buy a PlayStation would go, well, why am I buying a PlayStation? I don't need to. This box plays everything. And depending on its performance, it may do it better than what a PlayStation does, right? So I think that's where we are in it, that their strategy of keeping it timed, you started to see diminishing returns on it, because the novelty sort of wore off and people like, man, I'm not waiting on this anymore. Whatever. I'm just going to go play Call of Duty or whatever the hell, right? I'm not waiting on Wolverine or, like, again, I think Spider-Man 2 obviously would be a great example of this. Like, Spider-Man 2 didn't do numbers on PC.
Yeah, it sold 700,000 on PC as opposed to 16 million on PS5.
Right. And there you go. So that's why I think
but they essentially shadow dropped it, though, right? There was no fanfare. One day it was just on Steam. There was no fanfare at all,
there was some lead up to it, but to your point, PlayStation has never established a real cadence with their PC releases and or like truly marketed them out to people. But they said they were experimenting. The whole point of it was to try and get people to buy a PlayStation, and that didn't work. And I said that from the get-go. I go, anybody that's wants a PlayStation would have went and got a PlayStation to play a PlayStation game. If you're bringing it to PC, those people are not magically going to go run and buy a PlayStation. So it just really comes down to this. Instead of them embracing what is the growing audience, the growing market, which is PC, we all know that. They're like, we essentially want to emulate as much as we can what Nintendo is doing. But I don't know if that's going to work. That's why I think it's a mistake. I think you're better off having as many people as you possibly can have access to your game versus telling people they got to go buy hardware, which is getting more expensive, by the way, to access that game, especially just a single player game. Whereas your live service games are still going to be everywhere. Why is that then? See, this is where, and again, until it 100% comes out, obviously, I believe Jason wouldn't post anything if he didn't have legit sources. But you're still putting live service games out there. Why are you doing that? You're doing that because it needs an audience. It needs as many people as possible playing it. So I don't know, man. And look, I get the fanboy stuff, the console war stuff, but it's like, if we want to have a real adult conversation about this, it's like we're in an age now where I know my kids don't care about, is it Xbox or PlayStation, whatever. They care about convenience.
Yep.
Where's the easiest way I can play the game? That's all they care about. Not to mention, obviously, we know all the stuff with the industry that's going on right now, rising prices, studios closing if games don't hit a certain number, development costs are out of control. You know what I mean? There's so much going on in the industry that, like I said in the video I put out the other day, I just feel like something has to change. I don't think the old model works the way it did 10 years ago. I think you have to adapt. Obviously, Xbox went very extreme with it. PlayStation dipped their toe in the water. It wasn't as financially viable as they wanted it to be on their terms. So they're going to stop doing it. Okay, fine. I mean, I'm still going to play Soros. I'm still going to play Wolverine because I like PlayStation games and I want to play them. But I guess my whole point is I always look at it from a consumer standpoint. As a consumer, not everyone can buy an Xbox, a PlayStation, a PC, and a Switch. Sometimes you can only pick one. And maybe the people that would rather just build a PC and have that open platform freedom, they're going to do that. And if your PlayStation games are not there, then okay, I guess I'm not playing it then. And I think that's what we've seen over the past few years with PlayStation games. Whereas you're taking too long to come to the device that I like to play on. And by the time that you do come, you're charging me full price. There's already something new out that I would rather play. That's where I think we are with it. And
I got a quick
people
question.
Can judge it. There. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think part of this is they just didn't want to further buy into it? Because I mean,
that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, that's because that's exactly what I've been thinking. They don't want to further buy into something.
Think about what further buying in is. Further buying in is. They don't
have any in. They don't have control as much control in its new territory for them.
No, but to answer exactly the point that I'm making, going further in. If you want to make more money on PC, what do you have to do? Get the games out day and date. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah.
They're showing you, because I think Spider-Man 2 was the quickest at 14 months, I think. That wasn't enough. People had already moved on. You can't tell me if Spider-Man 2, let's just use Spider-Man as an example. If Spider-Man 2 came out on PlayStation and PC the same exact time, they'd have probably sold 700,000 on PC the first day.
More than likely. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Do you think they have enough resources to get all of these games that they are coming out with out day and date, because that's the one thing that I'm thinking that they're struggling with is having all of the
Xbox has answered that question for you. Craig Duncan, Matt Booty said it last year, and Craig Duncan just said it, I think last month. Any studio, it's time and resources. If a studio is big enough and has the time and the resources, they will put a game out day and date. The ones that can't, and we're obviously talking porting to PlayStation, then, it'll come at a later date. But as these studios continue to scale up, again, if PlayStation wanted to do it, it's the exact point that you wait. It will require an investment into more manpower, more resources. Mm-hmm. You can't just rely on Nixes. They obviously don't want to do that. So they're not doing it. And like I said on Twitter today, it's their IPs. They can do whatever they want at the end of the day. So if they feel you need to come to them to play their games, you as the customer have to make that choice. Which, look, that's fine. I don't like it. That's why I disagree with it. I don't think that's where the future of gaming is going. And I know people give me crap about that, but I just think the next generation of people that are coming up behind us with disposable income aren't using the same playbook that we did.
Yeah, I agree.
And like I said, people, look, I'm sure there are victory laps happening all over the place because, you have to come to my thing. Whoop-de frickin' do. Okay, congrats, I guess. I just think if I have access to a game wherever I want to play is a good thing. I don't see how that's a bad thing. That's how I look at it. So they're going to do their thing. Well, obviously, I assume Xbox will continue to do what they've already started on. We'll obviously see what Asha decides going down that path. And Nintendo's Nintendo, so they're not changing anything.
Well, good stuff, Paris, man. Thanks so much for jumping on. We appreciate the knowledge bombs because you do make a lot of sense. The one thing that's going to be interesting to see, and they have the numbers, so they're not pulling this out of their back pocket and they have the fiscal knowledge from the numbers that they have in front of them. What we have to see if it's going to happen is whether or not the PlayStation audience are going to step up and buy these exclusive games on PlayStation 5 and 6. Will they line up to pick up these games?
Haven't they also said that they're also starting to charge their customers, like making $79.99 more of a standard? Am I mistaken in hearing that?
I know that Lin Tao, who of course the CFO, said that in order to combat rising pricing of RAM and other situations, that they're going to have to turn to their audience to start charging more. And what does that mean? Does that mean charge more for PlayStation Plus? Does that mean charge $79.99 rather than $69.99 for games like Wolverine? I don't know, but they're going to be using their current audience to, quote, pick up the bill for them. If that makes any sense.
I forgot to mention one other thing. There's one other layer to this as well. Grand Theft Auto 6. The best place to play Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be a PS5 Pro for at least a year. So maybe they're banking on we're gonna have, in other words, this holiday we're gonna see a huge influx of more people buying PlayStations. So now there are over 100 million PlayStations out there. And maybe they just think, all right, we'd rather people engage, because again, it's about money, right? Buy from our store, buy from the PlayStation store. We're not giving up a 30% cut to Steam. Buy our games here. But it does come down to everything that you're saying. It's about the games at the end of the day. Wolverine needs to be good. Intergalactic needs to be good. It needs to be something that people are like, yep, I want to play this. And I'm going to go pick it up in droves. You know what I mean? I will say for myself, I will be one of those people because I can't wait to play Wolverine. You know what I mean? But
I didn't even thought. Yeah.
But I'm just trying to, again, think of this logically. Why are they doing this? I just think a lot of it is they don't, as Ham was saying, they don't want to go all in. Going all in would have to be really shortening your time from launch on PlayStation to PC, if not day and date, because they're just simply were taking too long, and people on PC lost interest and moved on to other things, and they weren't making the money that they needed that it was worth, I think, Kay, you said it, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And the only way it was going to be worth it was to truly embrace PC and go all in, which, what is Xbox doing? That's not to make this Xbox PlayStation thing, but Xbox is going all in on PC. Yeah. So they want that market. They want people to play those games on PC and obviously on console as well. So, it's different philosophies. I mean, even before this news just dropped, I was even just talking about, we're in an age right now where the big three they're all doing different things. This just further cements that they're all doing something different. Nintendo is doing the classic exclusive. The only way you play Mario is on a freaking Switch. PlayStation is now saying, okay, you can do our live service games other places, but the single player ones, you can only do it on the PlayStation. And Xbox is like, hey, anything with a screen, go play. So, who's right, who's wrong? We'll see in the long term, I guess.
I mean, again, great points all around. This has been a great opening salvo. I did not expect to be 55 minutes long, but that is okay because everyone had killer opinions. And again, it is a bit of a shocking move for Sony to kind of backtrack. I think everybody hit the points right on the head. I don't think anybody was too far to the right or too far to the left. I think everybody is right down the middle on their thoughts and theories. And again, PlayStation has proved me wrong because I thought they would be opening their own PC store to get 100% of the profit rather than put their games on Steam and have to share that, especially if you were going to be able to play a lot of their first party single player games on the next Xbox. Well, that's not going to be the case. Now, granted, I don't think they're going to take anything off of Steam that they currently put there. So if you are someone that gets the next Xbox potentially next year and you want to play God of War, you want to play any of the games that were there before, they're still going to be there. They're just not going to put Intergalactic, Wolverine, Saros, and whatever else they have lined up. Marvel's Tokon, that is going to be there. That's a multiplayer. Well, I mean, it's a fighting game, so it's an online fighter. That's going to be there. Marathon is going to be there. So they will continue to put their gas games. I don't know how many more they have, to be honest with you, because we haven't heard from some of the ones that aren't being talked about other than Marathon. So I don't know. And for a lot of PC gamers, you got to remember they have, Sony themselves said that we were going to pull back on the amount of single player AAA bombs. They're going to do one a year. Our PC gamers going to feel so inclined to be like, oh my God, I need game A. I don't think so, because I think Paris did hit the nail on the head saying they're just going to move on to something else. And a perfect example is I don't have the time to play games right freaking now. It's crazy, but great opening salvo. Thank you, Paris, for joining us, brother. We super appreciate it. But gentlemen, I got to catch up on Super Chats. There's been quite a few of them. Then we're going to get into whether or not Xbox is somewhat or somehow going to bring back exclusive content. I have an idea how they could have their cake and eat it too. We'll get to that in a second. Brett Bingham drops a very generous $5 Super Chat and says, PlayStation showing 10% of total revenue when they have the worst profit margin out of the three console platforms is absolutely stupid. SMFN or H. Yeah, I mean, they ran the numbers, and apparently the numbers are in their favor if they wall off their stuff. And we'll see how PlayStation Nation responds, whether they go from selling, 2 to 5 million of a game that was going to eventually get the PC, and now that they have walled off their garden moves from 5 to 7 million now, or 7 to 10 million, because it's not going to go anywhere else. We'll see if that backfires or is something that works for them. Miracle on Ice 2.0 drops a very generous $5 Super Chat and says, as a PC player, trust me, we do not care. We're not going to run out and buy a PlayStation 5. PC Master Race for the win. Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people are thinking. Adidas 20, salute to you, kind sir. Thanks so much for joining us. He's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 36 months. So, god damn, that's great. And we really appreciate the fact that you've been a channel member for damn near 3 years, brother. He says, salute, Hargeet, show me C Money's favorite food. And that would be olives. I'm sure he's going to bring up the olive thing in a second that we're going to torment. There it is. It's raining olives, ladies and gentlemen, and we're tormenting C Money as we always do and enjoy doing that. I love it. DS20, shout out to you, brother. WTB 1327 has been a channel member for 9 months, brother. That's very kind of you. He says the PC porting rumor makes no sense. I wouldn't automatically assume it's true and that you were wrong, Boom. It's obvious to everyone Sony needs PC revenue. I mean, look, I don't like Jason Schrier as a human, but I will give him credit for being a damn good reporter, and he does get the stories. I have to agree with Paris on this. I don't necessarily, and I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong. I'm saying I don't necessarily think that he would run a story if he wasn't pretty damn sure that this is the route they were going to go. But again, I thank you for the confidence. I don't want to be right or wrong. I want to have a conversation about it. I don't think that it's the smartest move because I think it's been proven time and time again that PlayStation players, especially the more vocal ones, don't buy the games that they accuse others of not buying. I'm sorry. The numbers are just there. They play Twitter rather than they play the actual console. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. It's me, the broke boy, drops a very generous $2 super chat. Now this is funny. PS Nixus will become PS Nixed us. I hope not. I hope that they keep the studio around because they're pretty damn talented. Brett Bingham drops not 1 but 2 additional very generous $5 super chat and says my 18th month prediction: Nishiro and or Hulst out, Bungie and Haven dead, Soros underperforms, and Housemarque dead are on life support, all because of Uberus. I mean, I don't think that it's a crazy prediction. I don't want to see any of that happen. Anytime a studio closes, that means someone cannot pay their mortgage if they work there.
I don't completely disagree with that comment either, because it's like, all right, well, if we're gonna scale back, well, we're gonna get rid of a lot of, or possibly just slim down a lot of these studios, because we were anticipating pumping out a lot more stuff, but now that we're not going to do that and we're going to focus on super hard hitting 1 time a year type of things, and then every once in a while drop something on PC and console. I mean, yeah, because keep in mind, while Xbox was garnering up more studios, PlayStation was doing the exact same thing, and it looked like it was like tit for tat, just different, wallets kind of going at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's like, all right, what are you going to do with all that stuff? We've already seen them drop a few studios that we didn't expect to drop in just the last, year.
Yeah. Well, they have a couple more, Haven being one of them. There is, we'll see what happens. Again, I will never admit or ever say Studio X should close, because you don't want to see that if you are a decent human. Because when someone loses a job, that means they can't pay their mortgage. And I don't know if you've ever been in that scenario. Don't wish that on anybody. Well, I don't care about console wars. Let's just be human about things. But Brent Brigham says this after dropping an additional very generous $5 super chat. Gamers and investors to PlayStation's decision. Hello, McFly. I mean, we will see, brother. Miracle on Ice drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, I get told all the time PC players and Xbox players don't support the devs and buy games full price, but people don't buy Sony games because economy. Shaking my head. Yeah, I just think it's a double standard with Sony. You see it all the time, and I buy a lot of games. I mean, maybe I'm different because I'm hardcore, but I do buy a lot of games. I don't know who's, where that comes from. Where, I mean, look, if you want to know how many games are being bought, just as a sweeping general conversational piece, follow Matt Piscatella and follow Circana. The numbers are there, folks. And it's more shocking than you could possibly imagine how many people don't buy games because they're playing free to play, and how many people, it's less than 1% of how many people that are actually buying more than buying upwards of 1 game per month. it's very, very small. And most people buy less than 2 games. Your average gamer, less than 2 games a year. And most gamers, at least here in the US, aren't even buying games. They're playing free to play. So we'll see if this backfires in Sony's face. It just might. Hadari Mac in the chat, who's been a channel member for 38 months. So Hadari, thank you so much for the generosity. He says the PC games market is much larger than Sony's. How will combined Xbox/PC sales of games like Forza 6 and E-Day compare to just PlayStation exclusives? It's going to be very interesting to see. We're going to get into that topic on exclusivity in a second. Miracle on Ice drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. He says, I went to a school working on something, and I saw a kid playing COD online on an iPad. That's the future of gaming. Yeah, I mean, it's that right now. Those kids that are 15 or 16, 17 or 18, they were born and they were playing with their parents, their mom and dad's iPhone in their carriage. And that's where they play today.
My kids hold my Xbox controller like it's the 8-track player, like in a museum.
I believe it.
They don't even care about it. Yeah.
I believe it.
It's very difficult to get them to play with a controller. It's wild.
Well, again, it's time to change, and I think this is going to backfire. But again, time will tell. Lastly, Judah Roars drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says 60% of the panel are still getting games day one. 20% is 50-50. This panel is proof on how Sony will make it work. Only 1 of 5 actually said no. And I mean, look, but we're the hardcore. That's the difference. Everybody on this panel here, like for me, one of my most anticipated games is Wolverine. But I'm not buying Soros. But that's not because I'm trying to hate on it. It's just not my I didn't play Returnal. I don't think I'm going to play this. So it's not like I'm a personal grudge. But I don't know how many the hardcore audience that's going to run out and buy a PlayStation game day one isn't a large percentile of the near 90+ million consoles that they have sold. It's just it's the normies.
Boom. What was the last PS5 game that you bought?
Well, the last one I got for free was Ghost of Yotai from Will, the Broke Boy Insider that's in the chat. He gave it to me because he had an extra copy. The last time I bought a game, I think it might have been Spider-Man 2.
Mine was Astrobot.
Astrobot.
That was it. Yes, I'm sorry. So it was Astrobot. Yeah, that's the last game that I purchased, and I nearly platinumed. That's one of my favorite games of generation. I absolutely freaking love it. So, yep, that's it. That was my last one, was Astrobot. So, gentlemen, we got to get into this because normally this is a 90-minute show, so I don't want to spend too much time. I didn't expect to spend so much time on the first topic, but we got to get to this one. Now, in the last couple of weeks, there has been some big changes made to Xbox and its leadership. The questions of why that happened, well, that really is going to depend on who you talk to. Some people are going to say that they needed a change in leadership to address some things that they want to go back to. I don't necessarily believe that. Phil, whether he retired or he was asked to go, we'll never know. Sarah Bond, resigning. We don't know stories behind that. What we do know, and what we can confirm, is that Asha Sharma is the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming. She had a lot of things to say, and I thought that she really did put her best foot forward, and I think that she hit the ground running. They had a town hall, all hands-on meeting, welcoming, celebrating, Phil Spencer last week. Greenberg had posted a little bit of a clip of Phil Spencer thanking everyone and welcoming in Asha. We do know for a fact that they had both Asha and Matt Booty had some really nice things to say about Sarah Bond, who wasn't in front of the camera, but she was there. That was confirmed. And what we've seen since then is a lot of conversation from Asha on what she wants to do to bring back Xbox to its roots. So you see the title of today's show, and it's not me being jesting. It's not me trying to be facetious in any way. It's me. I have a theory, folks. And the one thing that I can say as an Xbox first guy, they deprioritized the need for the console, and that ultimately was a mistake. And the question is, how do you reverse your engines now? Now, there's been some talk about this is an Xbox being something that might have caused Sarah to want to move on. I don't know. A lot of people have said that that was her programming. That's something that she wanted to do. And like I said seconds ago, ultimately what it did is make people not want to buy an Xbox. So how do you fix this, Hargeet, Kay, and of course our esteemed guest, Cam? How do we fix this, Hargeet? Well, I have a theory. But before I get to that theory, I have a bunch of notes here that I want to read because, of course, I take my time writing these shows, so I want to kind of throw this out there. Based on reports from last month and the start of March, which is only a couple of days old, Asha Sharma has indeed begun appointing new positions. And obviously, we know that they're hiring some big time positions for marketing. Now, I've said this the other day, and I will reiterate it again. Their messaging has been nothing short of terrible. So they have to fix that. Are these new hires going to fix that? I don't know. I'd like to believe so. But this is what she had to say in her internal communications to the people still that are going to be with the company. And she recommitted to console. And I think that this is super important. Now, we know that they're coming out with a console. We know that there's rumors they're going to come out with a console and a handheld. We know that the GDC is in a couple of weeks and that she's going to be there. And the best beard in the business, Jason Ronald, is going to be there leading the charge. They're actually hosting this event that they're going to be doing for Next Generation. And he is the vice president of Next Generation. So I don't know if what they're going to show off is going to be public view or behind closed doors, but they're going to be showing something. Now, when Asha recommitted to console, she stated she wanted to, quote, return to Xbox. And that starts, according to her, with a renewed commitment to console as the reference experience. So how do they get there? Well, one of the ways I think they can get there is going back to exclusivity. Now, hold on, folks. Walk with me on this, because I don't think like full-on exclusives are ever coming back. I think the cat's out of the bag and it's not happening. But I have some theories and I have some thoughts here, and I wrote it down, folks, because obviously I like to write when I make these shows. The next Xbox, we already know, is going to be a PC that looks like an Xbox. It's going to start up and act like an Xbox. You won't have to download drivers or anything. It's going to work like your current Series X or Series S that you're playing right now. How could they get people to want to buy the next box? Well, obviously, Game Pass is a big driver. Now, I think that they could. Now, I don't know if this would ever happen, but if this next box is a console PC, they could lower the price of Game Pass back to something like $20. I know Destin Legary did a video, an excellent one, by the way, where he actually mentioned that. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. Lower the price, get people to buy the box, but that wouldn't be the only thing, right? If they remove the paywall where you don't have to pay to play online like you do on PC on the next Xbox, that's another check, right? Play Anywhere is a big driver. Buy a game once, play the game anywhere you want. That's awesome. I think that's a really big deal. Smart delivery, still a big thing. Playing your entire Xbox library on this next box is also a big driver. Hargeet, I want to get your thoughts on this. So I want to focus on exclusivity. And here's my point and my thoughts on this. The standard exclusive, what Sony is attempting to do, I don't think Xbox can do. What they should do, if they want to bring back priority to the console, to the box that gets people in the door, lock this game for minimum 12 months. Sorry. And what would you do that? Well, you're not going to do it with Gears, Halo, Forza, Fable. They're all coming onto the PlayStation 5 this year. But how I would do it is something like Elder Scrolls 6. This game is going to be a banger whenever it comes out. Again, I know you're laughing, but I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about this, man?
Look, I don't know that they're going to fall back, but then again, Sony just did, right? They're going to go back on their exclusivity thing, right, and not put things on PC. Anything can change at any time. That's absolutely the case. It comes down to who's giving what mandate, right? So the direction that they were under, Xbox at least for a while, was, hey, the profits need to be even higher. Okay, so they were already like decent, but that wasn't enough. They wanted ridiculous. It's like, okay, fine. If you're going to do that, you're going to skimp on your budgets for things like marketing. That's going to happen. And then you're going to look for avenues to make more money off of your games, not less. If you're in the mode of saying, I want to crush my competition, that is a different, like,
Oh, you mean like spend PlayStation out of business?
Okay, yes, that there's 100% the potential for somebody like Microsoft to do that. Okay, I can give you the great formula that they'll need to follow to absolutely demolish PlayStation. The problem is they won't do it, and I just don't know that there is a potential world in which they actually go and say, no, we'll cut back to even PlayStation levels of profit, and that's good enough. Right? PlayStation was ecstatic. 11%. They made 11% profits. Like, oh my God, this is unbelievably awesome. And like, they want like 30 over there. So like, it's a different world, and that's the problem they're in. Okay. If the board, forget Satya, the board came in and said 5%, give me 5%, go to town, crush them. They absolutely could. Okay. But that's the problem. They won't do that. Right. So unless that happens, I just don't see how any of this changes. Okay. So if they do go in and say, nah, spend, what do you do? Are there ways to crush PlayStation? You guys mentioned a nice little game that's coming this year. If you wanted to spend your way through it, you can go to Take-Two and say, we're buying you. And we're going to now take $5 billion, $10 billion here. Just take this exclusive. GTA only coming to Xbox and Windows. Enjoy, PlayStation players. Have a nice day. If you wanted to do it, if you want to crush them, who could do it? Microsoft could 100% do that. $10 billion is a joke to them. They sneeze. There's $10 billion. They don't care. they don't care. Okay. And it's funny money. If you're going to acquire them, what is it? Oh, it's going to go in their balance sheet. And then when you buy them, it comes back to your balance sheet anyway. Whatever. So could they do that? Hell yeah. They could absolutely do that. They could do what you want. Say everything they have from now on, outside of the games that have already moved over, right? You can't take Elder Scrolls Online or Overwatch or, COD. COD's going to be there for a while, no matter what, whatever. Minecraft. All the rest of it, exclusive from now on. It's Xbox and Windows. Could they do that? Hell yeah, they could do that.
They absolutely could. Sure.
That? Are they going to do that? No. So I can give you the formula how to make all this work. The problem is, do they have the balls to do it? And the question comes down to, do they have like the original Microsoft, like, oh, why don't we just buy Nintendo? Right? Do they have that level of like, I don't care, we can just do whatever we want? They don't have that anymore. They try to play nice. And if you're gonna play nice, you're not gonna crush the competition that's sitting there saying, I'm petty. I don't want my games on your damn Magnus. So I'm gonna take away PC gamers.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Are you gonna do the same? Are you going to go do the same? Oh, you don't want to put it on PC? Screw you, Sony. We're not going to put our games on your platform. Have a nice day. Oh, and when that 10-year COD goes up, no more COD for you. Have a nice day. They could do that. They own it. Are they going to do that?
Unlikely.
So I don't know, man. Like, so if they want to go down this path, there's avenues. They could 100% crush PlayStation. Not even a shadow of a doubt. The issue comes down to regulators. Will they allow it? And do they have the balls to go do it? So if they have the balls to do it, they say, you know what? No, we don't need 30% profits. We don't even need 20% profits, which is probably where they are right now. We can live with 5%, but we want you to crush them. They can do it. 100% they can do it. But they're not going to. I just know they're not going to. So to me, it's all baloney. What are they going to do? They're going to like try to just snare you and say, hey, this is a nice thing that we do. Aren't you happy with it? And that's it. Like that's what they're going to do. I don't see it. Like, so the exclusivity thing, there's like a 2% chance that they would change their mind on that. I think that's like that's gone.
What about top?
But that ship is sailed.
Yeah, the ship has sailed for full-on exclusives the way it used to be, but has the ship sailed on exclusivity that's timed?
No, you can still do that, but people know, right? It's the same thing as the PC on PlayStation games, right? I have no interest whatsoever in getting a PlayStation. I still have no interest, but because their games were coming to PC anyway, so like, yeah, fine, I'll just wait a year or two. I don't care, whatever, fine. Those who have FOMO, they'll have that problem. They'll go buy it. I don't care. I don't have FOMO, so I'm good, right? So, but there are people who are like, who are going to just wait. And that was always going to be the case. Like, if you're going to say, hey, it's 2 years out, a year out, you'll get it on your platform, they'll just wait. Right. So I don't know if that's going to be good enough to actually drive a competitive advantage. We'll see. But I don't think that's going to happen. Look, would I love to see the other way? From a consumer perspective, no. From a console war perspective, sure. From a consumer perspective, the best thing is everybody gets to play everywhere. That's the best thing, right? The pettiness of like, I don't want this on Magnus, so I'm going to take it away. I don't want that. I don't care about that. Equivalently, I don't want Xbox to take games away from Switch or PlayStation players. I don't care. Put your games everywhere. I don't care. As long as I get my games. The thing I don't want is, because we did this, I'm not getting day and date in Game Pass. Screw that. Put your games on everything. Put it on the moon. I don't care. Give me my Game Pass. I want my Game Pass because that's my value. I'm a consumer, so I want that. Good with your if you want to go down the path and you actually have the balls to do it, sure, go ahead and have your console war and crush your competition. You've done it before. You can do it if you have the balls to do it. But that isn't the Microsoft of today. It's the touchy-feely Microsoft. Good luck. You're not going to get that. Okay, it's just not going to happen. You have to have the ruthless, like the Matt Booty saying, we could spend them out of business. That's what you do. Because you literally could. Yeah. So if you want to do that, absolutely go do that. But they're not going to. I just know that, like, show me. I would love to see it. Show me you have the balls to go do those kind of things. Show me.
It's going to be, listen, again, it's one of those things we have to wait and see. Ham Solo. Asha said something that was very interesting. The plan is the plan until it's not the plan. Now, I don't know if she was referring to that or, to exclusivity. I agree. I don't think a full-on exclusivity is ever coming back. But if you were to launch something like the Elder Scrolls 6, again, this is how I would do it. But of course, I'm old and I don't work for marketing and I don't have a marketing degree, so I'm not going back to school. Let's say, for instance, this June, if they really wanted to, and this is, have the balls to do this, Todd Howard would come out and say, here is Elder Scrolls 6, and it's a trailer. And at the end of that trailer, it just says PC and Xbox. That's it. No PlayStation logos. And when the press comes running, because you know that they will, the Ryan McCaffreys and the bunch are going to come running. Whoa, wait a second. You didn't mention PlayStation. You're absolutely right, Ryan. We're not talking about PlayStation. This game is going to be released on this date for Xbox and PC. And just keep them guessing. That's the balls that Hargeet is talking about. I don't know if they would get to that or they would do it. What are your thoughts on exclusivity, man? Do you think it's coming back in any shape, form?
Probably not, in my opinion, exactly. But what I think would be hella interesting to see. I mean, it very well could come back in the form of like time exclusivity, right? But what I think would be interesting to see, so you can just do everything day and date, and people can just choose, especially depending on the output of your publisher, that being Xbox. Just charge them more for being somewhere else.
I mean, you could.
That's my opinion on it. To me, if I was in, if I was just like suggest anything to marketing, it'd be charge them more for being over somewhere else if it's a first party Xbox game, and then change your advertising to just buy an Xbox, because people are gonna complain. Why does it cost more over there? Well, just buy an Xbox. Just buy an Xbox. And that might get the consoles back to kicking up a little bit. I'm just saying, like, that was one thing I remember back in the day when I was a kid. Like, third-party games or first-party games, it didn't matter. For the Nintendo 64 were $70.
Yes, they were.
But
Some of them were back in the day. Some of
PlayStation,
them were $100. If you remember that.
but for that same game on PlayStation, it was like 50 or $60 sometimes. And Nintendo's thing was just like like their excuse was, oh, it costs more for the cartridge or whatnot. But like in reality, it was just like, if you want it here, but pay more. So that's how I would do it if I was them. If you still want to deliver everywhere and you don't want to leave anybody behind or anything, but you want to attract people to your console and say, hey, we could save you some money over here. We don't have online. You don't have to pay to be online.
Yep.
And you can and you can play your games in multiple places, including cloud or PC, console, or whatever. Like, it's just all encompassing. Like, I mean, pretty much like Samsung and pretty much like all these businesses are trying to do, be an all encompassing kind of thing, while still working with other things. Like, I mean, hell, if you look at a Dell monitor, that's a Samsung panel on it, you know? Like, I mean, so, but it's just like, that's my way of how I would do things. Cause I mean, from what it sounds like, she still wants to meet everybody where they're at, but it's just like, how do you benefit off of that? Well, in my opinion, it's just charge them more.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. And I do remember those days of PlayStation games being cheaper than N64 games, and Nintendo didn't care. They were like, yeah, it's $80. Like it. You know?
Yeah, I bought NBA Live 2000 for $80.
Wow, dude. And that was by the way, that was a great game. Just FYI. It was a freaking
it had a horrible audio on the yeah, and that's the thing. It had even worse audio and sometimes worse graphics on the 64. But it was just it was a vibe, so people bought it. And Xbox could do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good take. So, Keasante, how do they get people to prioritize Xbox Fusion coming out in 2027? How do they say, because again, it's a great point that Ham Solar brought up, because, well, you know, prioritize pricing. That could be a good point. But I don't know if they would do that. I think that there are other smaller things they could say. Well, Game Pass, you pay one price. We lowered it. You get all of these games, first party, day and date, go. No more paying for online. Play with your friends anywhere. Oh, yeah, you can play anywhere. That's right. You can play on PC, TV, phone, tablet, computer, whatever. All for one price.
Hey, don't forget to add WoW subscription to that. That
you know, that's a story that Jez.
I'm just saying, if you do that, I'm playing WoW. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think
but I'm just not paying. I'm not paying for 2 subscriptions for Xbox. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that.
Based on some recent updates, it looks like they have made WoW as controller friendly as they ever have. Like, the latest update,
yes,
is
it has.
so damn controller friendly now. It's only a matter of time. Some are thinking before.
Jez Cord posted a story about 2 weeks ago that Xbox themselves wants to bring more value to the $30 because of the increase. They got a lot of backlash. Of course they did. You raise it by 50%. It's crazy. But if they were to add like WoW, I think Minecraft Worlds was on there as well as and the Fallout.
Is that going to do anything for any of you?
No, nothing. Zero for me.
For me, Minecraft World would give me something, because then I don't have to pay my.
I'm playing WoW if they put that there, because I have a lot of friends that play that, but I don't want to pay for the subscription.
What I would try to understand is like the number of people that like Game Pass for the variability of games, and how many of them would put a lot of hours into a specific game. Like, they just added Fortnite Crew. okay, people who play Fortnite, do they play Fortnite once a month for an hour, or do they play Fortnite like once a day for like 5 hours? Like, so how does that work out as far as your time to actually spend playing games in Game Pass? So to me, I'm antithetical to those things. I don't want WoW, because if I want to do that, then that's what I'm going to play. Right.
Right.
And then that's your point, Ham Solo, because like, if you don't want to pay for it, that means you don't want to spend that kind of time. But if they give it to you, you'll give it a chance. Right. That's the difference. Right. And so they might get some people to kind of like say, okay, cool, I'll give this a chance. But I think the vast majority of players who want to play that kind of game are willing to spend the $15 because they want to put in thousands of hours in that thing.
But isn't that the
I don't
point
want
of
to
the
do
tier
that
system, though?
Yeah,
It's
that's
not.
when
It's
actually
like
someone
the ultimate-
literally.
They could put it on the ultimate and not have it on the premium, and just adjust the tier systems, and you're paying for what you actually want, and I'm getting the ultimate where I can get the WoW subscription as well.
But there's the problem, right? So ultimate is the one that has the day and date. Okay. And now they're forcing you, if you want day and date, for all the games you want to play, to also pay for the subscriptions that you may not care about. So I agree with tiers if they make sense.
No, I mean, again, this is again, we can go down a whole different rabbit hole here and spend 3 hours on it, because again, they want to add value. We'll see if they go ahead and do that. Those are the three things that Jez said he had heard. It's a rumor. It's not confirmed or anything, but he did specifically say that they want to add value. Hey, Asante, before we get on out of here and read the last super chats, I want to get your thoughts on this. How do they prioritize the console for next gen?
So this whole idea of should they bring exclusivity back? Will they bring it back? Won't they bring it back? Some folks are very gung-ho about that, because to them that means they're back, right? They want the exclusivity to mean, like, the exclusivity means something to people, right? And don't get me wrong, it definitely does mean something to people. I listen to it all the time, right? What is it? Xbox bent the knee. They're feeding PlayStation. Why are they giving them exclusives? This, that, and the third, right? And that itself is a narrative that prevails, right? But you've heard the unpopular narrative from me, which is, imagine you are PlayStation brass, right? You're PlayStation brass. You started this fledgling thing. You're growing it bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the fact of the install base getting bigger, you now have the ability to sell games to these people. Why? Because you've grown it. Now you have your legions. You're standing there. You're sitting on your throne of knives. You're sitting there and you're looking at your legions that you have conquered. And now every time you drop something, they have the potential to buy from you. You've earned their dollars because they now all have consoles in their house and you earn money from them. And then this Yahoo out of nowhere, who has not earned that damn right, who tried it, failed like a, frankly, bitch. And now he's at your gate, right? And you're just like, this guy has nothing. What are we talking about? I have earned them. These are my people. This is my legion. And he opens his hand, and every single one of your minions goes dollar, dollar, dollar. Like, who is winning in that scenario?
It would be Xbox, if that's who you're referring to, and I believe that's who it is.
You know what I'm saying? To me, it depends on how you see exclusivity. Oh, they're bitches for giving it up. At some point, every single game in the whole store was an Xbox game. You think Totoki was sitting on his iron knives happy then? They were probably pulling their hair out. Like, what?
Yeah.
So the idea that people go, well, they need to do, if they go back that way, even if they go timed exclusive, I think that's ridiculous, because timed exclusive means now you have to re-budget marketing. There's a difference between hitting everybody at once with that big bam and then everybody buys, and then going, well, we'll let our small snowflakes feel special for now. And then 8 months later, we'll roll it out again. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about dollars. It's about the dollars and cents here, people.
That's why I didn't even go that direction, brother. Yep.
Because it's ridiculous to close that back up, right? Look, I am not envious of Asha, because she has a very hard job to do.
I agree. Yeah,
very hard job, because that tube of toothpaste is all over the floor. It's literally been creamed into the floor now. You are not grabbing those morsels and putting them. It's not happening. It's just not. So stop trying. It's just not going to happen. It's not. Because if they did, yes, Hargeet is right. That is chump change. But a lot of chump change to them, and they still make those moves. They didn't give you a yearly wrap up. Why do you think? Because they didn't make dollars, so it doesn't make sense. The reason they have so much money is because they keep their money and they're shrewd with their money. So why throw it away on the idea of, oh, well, we don't need them? Yes, you do. You do need them, because they have to do the very hard work of building the scaffolding and building the entire legion that you can then eat off of without you doing the work. They need them to do that. Oh, we're not good at building their ecosystem, but they are. Let's just let them finish, and then we'll go eat. This is what they're doing. So to you, how do they make Xbox come back? Frankly, they have to talk tough. They have to make you feel like it's great, make you feel like there's competition, but pay no attention, ladies and gentlemen, because that's some WWF stuff. In the background, they are buttering them up for the next round of food.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. There's no way.
Listen, you're not wrong. Again, you're right. I think Asha and Matt Booty and the rest of the team, it is an uphill battle. Yeah. It's not going to be easy to turn the brand around. They're going to have to figure out some sort of a happy medium, and they're going to have to use what is really consumer friendly to the best of their ability on their next console. If that means go shouting from the rooftops that Game Pass has been reduced in price, the ability to have to pay to play online has been removed. This open source
price reduction, that's an interesting one. If they were somehow able to even reduce it by a slight margin,
go back down to $20.
The human mental would do the rest of the work.
Drop it 50%. That's how I would do. Because you know how they get you with marketing numbers. We're dropping Xbox Game Pass 50% back down to 20, and and again they raised it to 20 on PC, right? But then now the numbers are the same because the Xbox is PC, PC is Xbox, and again. Play with your friends online. You don't got to pay for that. Come to Xbox, you just play. Yeah, and they're gonna have to. Whoever is gonna be hired for marketing is gonna have to refer to the notes from the Xbox 360 days. That's my thought and theory.
It was a totally different era. It was.
I get it, but they don't have to follow the playbook. By the number, they can.
And by the way,
it works.
By the way, you guys saying about the price differentiation that used to exist, that used to exist. If you do that now, that is quote unquote disenfranchising rivals. They would rip them apart at the regulatory table if they ever came back there again. They're going to make prices way too much for us.
Yeah,
they can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
it's just tough.
This is a story that we are eventually going to come back to because Asha and Matt Booty are going to have to figure out what they're going to do for their next generation spiel. Whatever that looks like, whatever they say, we're going to be here for it. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get everyone out of here. Let me just catch up on Super Chats. We have another one here from Brett Bingham. Drops a very generous additional $5 Super Chat and says, if PlayStation's new strategy was a movie title, it would be for a few dollars more. That's good. We also have Lieutenant Hulk drops not one, but $2 Super Chats. And he goes, they can go old school Game Pass only. And that's true. Make Game Pass cheaper by choosing add-ons. That's also something else that's pretty interesting. There's like a tier system. Pick what you want, and it costs X amount of dollars. But see, again, Hargeet made mention of the day and date. Where would that ultimately start and stop? Would it be just Ultimate for day and date, or would you have tiers that give you that, but also give you something and you can take something away that you didn't care for, like WoW? Or again, I don't know what they're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. All I know is that this move by Sony of retreating from PC is going to make next Monday morning's meeting very, very pointed at Xbox. They're going to look at this, they're going to see it, and they're going to have to respond in kind. Now, Kay brings up a great point. They're literally let Sony spend all the money on their infrastructure, and they're just showing up and, hey, here's games, and people are buying them. And people are like, oh, you see the weakness of Xbox. They bent the knee. But they're also making money now. They're not making money on every game that they put out there, but some really did make a lot of money for them. And some of the games they're releasing this year will, of course, like Fable, Halo, Gears, and Forza is going to make bank whenever it releases on PlayStation. But I don't. Again, I don't know how they come back from it. I don't know how they reverse engines, but I'm here for it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. I hope you enjoyed the conversation enough to hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. But let's get everyone out of here. We'll start first with our special guest, Ham Solo. You made mention that you kind of stepped away for a little bit, but you're back. So let's tell people where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, follow you on the socials, and more importantly, find out when you release new content.
Yeah, in fact, I'll put it in the chat here in just a moment. But right now, we're doing our shows every Sunday, kind of late at 9 p.m. Eastern is when we start. So, I mean, I'm talking to a bunch of late night gamers right now. So if you guys want to head over there and listen to us, we talk about all sorts of different types of games. Me, myself personally, I talk a lot about Xbox. I kind of go at them in kind of a college in kind of a college football fan type of way, where 1 second I'm rooting for him, the next second I'm asking the coach what kind of play was that. So so if you guys want to check me out over there, it's TSWS Gaming. I'll put it in the chat here in just a moment, and you guys can go over there and check that out. Subscribe. I've been doing content for a few years now over there.
You sure have.
And I thoroughly enjoy it, but like I said, I had to take that little break just to get my house back in order, because we moved to Colorado from Iowa.
Wow.
So it was quite the jump in move, but I mean, I can tell you easily that I like it here a ton more than freaking Iowa. I mean, no disrespect to anybody out there, but
shade to Iowa.
Iowa's tough.
Good to know, brother. Well, it's great to have you a part of today's program, brother, and you delivered as you always do. So, of course, check out Ham Solo's channel.
Yep, TSWS Gaming in the chat. I just put it in there, so you guys can tap on that if you want to and check it out.
Nice. Thank you. Appreciate you being here, brother. Hargi China, let's sell the brand, brother. Not only did you write a book 2 years ago, but you also have your own YouTube channel, which we'd like to see continue growth. Tell people where they could subscribe, where they could buy your book, and that other really cool T-shirt that you made that people were asking for. And more importantly, where could people not follow you on social media?
Yeah, so speaking of that, I did make these nice little logos here. I guess I have to point in the right direction here. Make Xbox not dead again. And
I love it.
Make Xbox great again. So if you want to pick those up, they're up on my site, shop.chiny.us. And then my channel is HargyChiny1 on YouTube. I'll be on with C Money and Noodle tomorrow at 8-ish p.m. US Eastern Time. They're not doing Friday. And then next week is GDC, guys. We get GDC. It's going to be fun. We'll get to see what's going on. But yeah, so I'll be on with Web Dave on Sunday, and then with Fonz on Tuesday, and then we'll be back here. And I'm sure by then there's gonna be a lot of info coming out from GDC. I'm sure it'll be fun to go over what we've been hearing from all the developers, but especially Xbox, who has a lot of presence out there right now. So we'll see what they come up with.
Hopefully it's gonna be some console talk. We'll see. Asante, let's sell the brand, brother. Where can people tune in Saturday mornings with you and the kneeless one to hear about well, they're not, his knees grew back. I would imagine at this point that he has knees, but of course, Everyone Saga. Where can people tune in to check you guys out? And more importantly, and this is really important, folks, check out their incredible Discord. There's a lot of people in the chat. For a shout out to John Wolf, and he's a big part of that conversation that you guys have daily. And sometimes it's live, sometimes it's it's just talk. Sometimes it's actual conversations. Tell people where they can check that out, man.
So yeah, first and foremost, thanks to Ham Solo for jumping back in. TSWS has been missed. I'm looking forward to watching more of your content. Tell my brother from
Hit
Texas
me up anytime, brother.
He need to get in here. It's been a minute, but yeah, man, it's good to see you. You can catch me and myself and Everborn Saga doing GCP over the weekend. As Boom just mentioned, we are deep in the Discord land these days. We don't spend too much time on standard social media because we're trying to be more like Hargeet. We isolate ourselves to our Discord. We have very important, pertinent conversations like, what is the best Sega game ever made? Top 10. We're counting them down, and oh boy, is it contentious. We fighting over Nintendo and Genesis and all those other games. You can find us on the Discord. That is discord.gg/TGCP. That is discord.gg/TGCP, the Gaming Circle podcast. And then, of course, GCP is on Saturdays at 10 a.m. So thank you all so much, and see y'all next week.
Thank you so much. And lastly, Mac City Entertainment drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I like the gamer deciding what or where they play. It's called freedom, gentlemen. Embrace it. I have walked on the moon exclusively is dead. I mean, I think exclusivity is dead. True exclusivity, but not so much for PlayStation. They've walked it back. I want to see how Microsoft is going to respond in kind. Again, we'll know soon enough, because Asha is going to have to come and deliver her plan, and I want to see what the return of Xbox looks like. Well, what exactly does that mean? We will certainly see. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Please, thank you so much for hanging out. Hit the like button on your way out the door. A big thank you to all of the super chats, gifted subs, and channel member chats that continue to come in and support the channel. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate the insane generosity that continues to come in. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. Say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.